Hi chap here, welcome to the workshop. So today we're going to do a little bit of function and ammo testing with this here Steyr 1912 or Steyr Hahn. It is a 1917 dated pistol and it's part of my collection simply because I find it's cool. I mean it's got a really awesome steampunk look to it, stripper clip fed, funky rotating barrel delaying blowback mechanism. So if you know me, this ticks absolutely all the boxes. Now, I'm not going to go into the history of the pistol itself. There are people far more qualified than me, such as Ian Arsenal, who've done some wonderful episodes on these pistols, so that's not the object today. No. The object today is that I think that everyone should have one of these, but I understand that people don't, even though they're not terribly rare, and that's because it's not in a readily available caliber. It is, as with many of the early Austrian semi-autos, in its own proprietary caliber. So it's a 9mm Steyr, 9x23, not 9x23 Largo, 9x23 Austrian Steyr, and it's a caliber that you can still find today. Fiocchi make it as part of their sort of legacy oddball calibers, but it's not cheap and they make it whenever they feel like it, so it's not really reliably available. So yeah, pistol would be great to have, but you can't really shoot it very often. So there's two solutions to that. The first one is to get yourself one of the 9mm conversions, which was done post-Anschluss by the Germans in Austria to equip the Austrian police. And those, of course, command a premium because they're historical and in 9mm parabellum. So yeah, that's one solution, but the other option is nowadays you can go to IGB Austria and get yourself a brand new modern barrel. In fact, they offer two in two barrel lengths, one just over 5 inches as the original, and they also have an extended 6-inch barrel because why not? So yeah, the idea today is to see how this functions. Online there are good and bad reviews of this. We'll take it with a pinch of salt, of course, because usually you're using it in a pistol that's already 100 years old or more. So it drops in clean. It functions. It dry fires. It functions fine by hand. We'll see how it performs with some real ammo. So I have some 9mm Steyr, so we can put a couple of rounds through with the original caliber, and then I've got, just to stay in the family, some Fiocchi 115 grain and then some Fiocchi 124 grain. I searched high and low to try and find out what the bullet weight was for the original Austrian police ammo. I mean, I doubt they had special police ammunition, but what the Austrians were using, or what the Germans told them to use at that point. So if anyone knows, please put that down in the comments, but this is what I've got and we'll see how it performs. A barrel swap on one of these is rather easy. First let's cock the hammer, then we remove this wedge at the front. There's a bit of a wiggle. There we go. And then we just slide it back as if it was a blowback pistol. And off the slide comes, and here is the original 9mm Steyr barrel, and this is the new one in 9mm para. Now you might be wondering whether you can accidentally swap around the cartridges. So here is the 9mm Steyr, which goes in nicely there, and 9mm para, so that's how it should look. And if you try and swap them round, this one sticks out too much, and this one sticks out far too much. So here the 9mm para has a slightly fatter base of the case here. The actual rim is so close that they fit in the breech face here without any issues. They are slightly different. The 9mm para is slightly bigger, but it still fits. So whether that's just luck or manufacturing tolerances, there's absolutely no modification that needs to be made to the slide. So yeah, so we put them back together again exactly as you would with the other barrel. So we line up the surfaces, and this is a bit of a wiggle because I have to get the two lugs here down into the notch while not catching the lugs on the barrel. And this 9 times out of 10 goes wrong. Oh, I think I got it. Good. There we go. And we're back, and then we put the wedge back in. We've got a nice little arrow there, so it tells us which way to put it. You can put it this way or that way, it doesn't matter. I find it easier to pull it out when I put it in from the right side. And there we go. Ready to rock and roll.
Ding will am Freitag gehen. Brunner. Aber da habe ich keine Zeit. Und Kriegel hat auch schon mitkommen.
So as you see there, the accuracy and precision seems to be the same across the board for all three types of ammo and both barrels. Aiming centre of mass at that gentleman puts the shot slightly high and to the left. It's not me, because if I do mess up my trigger pull, I always put them down low right. Being broken at range, it's not broken at range unless something goes wrong, and in this case I actually had two somethings go wrong. First one was that towards the end of the 115 grain 9mm series and all through the 124 grain, I kept on getting dead triggers, in the sense that the shot was fired, the reload cycle was complete, hammer cocked, new cartridge chambered, but pulling the trigger did absolutely nothing. I then swapped out, put the original barrel back in. It was still happening then. And when we have a quick look at the trigger mechanism, you can see that the barrel has absolutely nothing to do with it. The resetting and disconnecting of the trigger happens in the first 10mm or so of rearward travel of the slide. So it's not because of the new barrel. That's not causing anything. So let's have a deep dive and see what the problem most probably was. Okay, in order to understand the problem, we need to have a quick rundown of how the trigger mechanism works. Very, very easy. The main component, or the critical component, is this trigger bar here. Front pin here fits into the top of the trigger, so it gets pulled backwards and forwards with the trigger pull. And we have this stepped portion at the back here, which engages with this hook you can see at the back. And this hook is the top end of a big long leaf spring, which goes all the way down into the base plate of the grip. And on the back is a little hook, which then engages the notch of the hammer, as you can see there. And what happens when you pull the trigger bar slides forward, and it drags the sear out of engagement with the hammer, and off goes the shot. Now, this is all well and good, and because this is a semi-auto pistol, when I do that, here it's in place. By the way, this trigger bar cannot come out in any way once the slide is in place. There's even this surface here which presses on here, so any issues are not because it's popping out of engagement, let's say, at least out the side. And so yeah, this is a semi-auto pistol, so when I fire the shot, there is a disconnector here, which is this part with the shark fin. You can see it also doubles as the ejector. And so if I keep the trigger pulled, as you do, what happens is with the first bit of slide movement, this gets pushed down. You can see it also pushes down the trigger bar, and you can hear the click. That's it disconnecting from the sear. The sear is then free to push backwards, which means that when the hammer gets pushed back, also by the slide, it re-engages with the sear, and we sadly don't get full auto, but that's the way it is. So this is how it functions, and because I was having the hammer recocked with every shot, clearly a disconnector was working in the downward position, but it was for some reason not working in the up position, because it is also responsible for pushing the trigger bar back up. So I don't know whether it was just grit, either down in the channel or grit in this channel here, because you could see, for example, if I get the misfortune of having something in the slot there, like a fingernail in there, then it stays down, and I also get a dead trigger. So I think it was just bad luck. I've given everything a good clean, also a good bit of Automatenfett in there, and hopefully that problem should go. If it keeps on happening, maybe I will try and source a new disconnector. It doesn't look worn, but sometimes it's difficult. The half, tenth of a millimeter or something may, for some reason, make a difference. It can't be forced down too much that it gets wedged, because there's a shoulder inside the frame here, so it can't over travel and somehow get wedged behind the spring that's pushing it up. Oops, sorry. So that was also not an issue. So for some reason this was getting stuck down, or the trigger bar was getting stuck in the downward position. So we'll see how it behaves in the future. So while this little barrel is innocent in the first case, it is definitely guilty of the second problem. See, when I was having all these dead triggers, natural thing to do was to rack the slide, and the first couple of millimeters was extremely tough. So this was weird because with the original barrel it's really butter smooth. So something was jamming somewhere. So out comes the barrel, and if you look at the top lugs, you can see immediately what the issue is. On the front edge here, it's being battered by the slide to such an extent that there's some burrs that are forming. And because these lugs are slightly taller than on the original barrel, these burrs are jamming up inside the grooves of the slide, which is why the first couple of millimeters is proving tough. You know, they've been polished to a shine by all the times I've had to rack the slide. So this is unacceptable. Clearly there's some hardening issues with the barrel. So this is also something that my friend Kuno has reported happened to his, to a slightly lesser extent, but he's also said he hasn't shot his very much. And so we have sent an email to IGB with pictures saying we got an issue here, and they came back, you know, to their credit straight away, saying yeah, clearly that we've got a hardening issue here, and they've offered to give us to swap out with some new barrels, which is cool. So watch this space with regard to that. But as an interesting conclusion to the exchange, about a week later, it seems that I don't know, someone from the PR department or damage control swept through, and we got a second email saying, yeah, but you know, we're gonna, you know, we'll swap the barrels out, see what happens, but yeah, these are old guns, and you know, sometimes the grooves in the slides are not very good, so that could also be something. No, that's not the issue. But anyway, it doesn't matter. They're going to replace the barrels. We'll see what happens. So, hope that was vaguely interesting. These I've seen are also available in the US apparently. But yeah, there's the caveat to buying these. I don't know if this is a recurring problem or we've just had bad luck twice. They produce these pretty much to order, so mine and Kuno's would probably be done sequentially. So it could have just been Friday in the hardening workshop, and they couldn't be bothered. So we'll see where that goes. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for whatever platform you're following us on and supporting us on. And we'll see you very soon in here or out on the range. Bye.